It began in a dream, a vision conceived in 14 acres of Arizonan land. Coyote Pass would be the Browns' forever residence. For homes stood side by side, grandchildren playing freely, a patriarch presiding over his legacy, and a family bound together in one shared future. The happiness was genuine then. Laughter echoed as Cody flung his arms open wide and said, "This is it. This is our forever home." But bring it forward to the present and the scene is utterly different. Ranting, anger, crying. That wide-eyed vision now seems an apparition, a shadow of what never was. In place of a foundation, the property is now a fault line. And now the monetary price tag on that vision is due. The question is not really if the Browns will retain it, but how quickly they'll have to let it go. We're not just talking about the family drama shown on TV. We're digging deeper, connecting the dots the cameras won't show. Evidence, records, insider reports, together they reveal a truth the Browns don't want in the spotlight. One insider report even suggests Cody may have made a risky financial move behind the scenes, one so dangerous it has placed a ticking clock on the land itself. A clock that could be counting down to foreclosure. Let's start at the start. In 2013, the Browns, now that they'd sold their house in Las Vegas, came to Flagstaff in cash, with a lot of enthusiasm and a big vision. They didn't buy one piece of land. They bought 4 separate pieces of land, and a shared section that contains the pond. And it cost them about $820,000. They invested proceeds from the Vegas sales and took a large real estate loan to finance the rest. Cody drew a map for his wives and children, indicating where each of their homes would be, with visions of campfires, family reunions, and a legacy on the foundation of oneness. That dream, though, was of another era. Interest rates were low. The family was whole. They had a common money system. None of that remains now. What is left today is not the dream, but the debt. And the figures are harsh. In 2018, when the Browns legally bought the land, the real estate market in Flagstaff was hot. But today, that growth has slowed dramatically, especially for raw, undeveloped land like theirs. One 10-acre parcel only a few miles away was listed for $450,000 during the peak. After sitting unsold for almost a year, it finally sold for $340,000, a 25% drop. Another 20-acre lot sat on the market for over 400 days and sold only after the price was cut multiple times. In fact, the final price per acre turned out to be lower than what the Browns originally purchased it for. That leaves them after paying loan and tax for 6 years in a worse situation than they started. They might be able to repay the original purchase price at best if they sold now. But after commissions and closing costs are included, they'd be looking at a certain loss. And then comes the biggest problem of all: building on the land is no longer realistic. Back then, a $500,000 construction loan at a 5% interest rate came with a payment of around $2,700 a month. High, but manageable. Today, that same loan would come with an interest rate of at least 8.5%, pushing monthly payments over $3,700. That's well in excess of $1,000 extra per and every month on one house. For homes, times 4, and the family is shelling out an extra $55,000 per annum in interest alone. For a strained family, already stretched thin, the math just doesn't add up. The dream has burst from the sheer cost of its own reality. And what comes next could be worse yet, because behind the loss of money are desperate choices made in secret, choices that could determine whether Coyote Pass ever exists at all. It's the difference between a dream that can maybe become a reality and a dream that was never more than a money fantasy. The knowledge of being able to build affordably didn't just slip away, it slammed shut, locked, and sealed tight forever. It's not just difficult to construct homes on Coyote Pass under today's economic conditions, it's impossible. And while no homes are constructed, the land continues draining money like a chronic, open wound. The Browns are losing money each and every month the property sits idle. The records of the Coconino County assessors show that the family has been paying approximately $7,000 a year in property taxes since 2018. 6 years, and all that's more than $40,000 down the toilet, money spent for nothing but to maintain dirt. Dirt that brings no income. Dirt that's not appreciated. That's the technical term for a bad asset. It's not a legacy. It's a money pit. Any decent financial advisor would tell them the same. The key to stopping the bleeding is to sell. But what if it's worse than that? What if there are secrets hidden in Arizona soil? Accounts from inside Flagstaff's development circles say there might be. One development insider with close ties to the development community has made a filing that doesn't fit poorly with what we've learned so far. Late last year, a regional developer made Cody Brown an offer, reported accounts say. This wasn't a question of buying one plot, it was all of them, the entire package, the 4 family plots and the shared plot with the pond. To the Browns, it was their paradise. To a developer, it was a profit maker. The math works. Combining the parcels into a single property makes it that much more attractive to develop. Instead of individually shaped quirky lots, a builder may rezone the land into 8 or 10 smaller lots, perfect for luxury cabins or vacation homes, with the pond as the centerpiece of a new development. And then there's the key element, the price they're paying. The builder, by chance, brought $850,000 to the table. On the face of it, that's a reasonable profit. The Browns had paid $820,000 for it, so it might appear that they'd be making out. But when you break it down, the harsh reality is. After subtracting a normal 6% commission, the Browns would have received about $799,000. That alone is more than $20,000 squandered against the buy price. Add 6 years of property tax, interest fees, and inflation, and reality sets in. This was not a rescue, it was an offer that hoped to take advantage of a desperate family. And it worked. The offer apparently prompted a massive fight within the family. Janelle, ever the pragmatist, reportedly saw it as the only solution. To her, the land was a worthless investment, a ball that was keeping her anchored, not allowing her to swim away. Losing $60,000 at this point was better than risking $100,000 or more down the line, she reasoned. Cody and Robin saw it differently, though. To them, the land was not just something that could be acquired. It was their last line of defense, their last gamble for the dream of a single-family compound. Accepting the offer would have been defeat, not financial, but spiritual. For Cody, it would have been an acknowledgement to the world that his great dream had collapsed. So he said no. He chose pride over pragmatism. He clung to the dream, even if it meant digging the hole deeper. And if this report is true, that refusal may have made their situation far worse. Because when you're already in a hole, the first rule is simple, stop digging. Cody Brown, it seems, picked up a bigger shovel. And that decision leads us to the second tier of this story, the actions. He papered trail that shows how Coyote Pass went from being a family dream to a shattered, unsellable nightmare. It begins with Christine. When she resigned, she sold half of her land for $10. On paper, it was a technical legality, probably having something to do with paying off her home in Utah. But the point that matters is who she sold it to. Not to the family as a whole. She deeded it directly over to Cody and Robin. That single sale ended the dream of 4 equal-sized family houses. The group dream was dead, legally and pragmatically. Mary arrived afterwards. She spent years paying for her parcel and owned it free and clear, her one contribution to the dream. But when she finally left Cody, public records show her deed placed in Cody's and Robin's names as well. Piece by piece, the land the 3 were to share became the property of 2. And with every sale, the dream of a family compound slipped further away. This is today's reality for Coyote Pass. It is no longer a 4-ruled kingdom. It is now a 2-ruled kingdom with one stubborn holdout. Cody and Robin now control more than 9 acres total between their original properties and the properties they purchased from Christine and Mary. That leaves Janelle stranded on a 4.5-acre island by herself, both physically and financially. The map itself is a story of deceit. How is Janelle ever going to recover her investment when so much of the land is owned by two people who have no desire to sell? In a way, she's a captive on her own property. Her lot is effectively landlocked without the agreement of the surrounding lots. She cannot sell the land in isolation, and she cannot force the sale of the entire property without filing a lengthy and costly lawsuit called a partition action. She is in a bind. This unequal ownership is the largest hurdle to any type of solution. It explains why an offer by a developer was spurned. To Cody and Robin, selling would be losing their combined kingdom. To Janelle, not selling is watching her life savings disappear into Arizona thin air. What we get instead is a standoff, born out of a sneak and crafty game of land acquisitions. And in this game, Janelle is already checkmated. Which brings us to the most volatile and surreptitiously held piece of the puzzle. A theory that's whispered among Flagstaff financial circles, one that, if true, flips everything on its head. According to a source who is engaged in alternative lending, Cody Brown could have funded a private loan using the property that Cody and Robin had refinanced. That was not a bank loan. It was a hard money loan, or a bridge loan. Those are short-term, high-interest loans for people who are not able to get traditional financing. They typically range from 12 to 24 months, have masochistically high interest rates, and pay off in a balloon payment that demands the entire balance be paid as one lump of money. Why would Cody take on such risky debt? That's where the speculation begins. One theory is that the family may have fallen behind on paying property taxes on their homes and land and borrowed money to pay up with the government so that liens or seizures wouldn't be put on them. Or perhaps it was Robin's premarital debt, or additional financial strains of their living arrangements. Possibly collections or lawsuits were in progress and a loan was obtained in order to keep creditors at bay. The third possibility is the most intriguing, a secret project. Could Cody have tried to fund another real estate deal, or invested funds in a speculative venture that was not shared with the rest of the family? The why is beside the point compared to the what now. The source estimates that the loan was for about $150,000 at an interest rate of about 12% and an 18-month term. If the timeline is correct, that balloon payment, $150,000 plus interest, is coming due in the first half of next year. That is the countdown timer at the center of this entire soap opera. This is the hidden pressure cooker that explains growing tension. Cody and Robin cannot afford to be waiters for when the market recovers. If such a loan exists, the lender will demand payoff in full. And if they are unable to pay? Foreclosure. The collateral, the property which they hold, would be seized and sold. Cody and Robin wouldn't just lose the dream, they'd lose it cheaply, in public, and still have whatever debt was remaining. This theory, assuming it holds true, makes sense. It makes sense of why they rejected the lowball offer from the developer. It wasn't even high enough to cover the loan and their original share. It makes sense of the building tension with Janelle. How are they going to buy her interest when all the dollars that they have at their disposal could be used to pay for this secret obligation? It accounts for the desperation we see on TV. This is no longer pride. This is about financial survival with an expiration date. The evidence is incriminating. Public records already show that Coyote Pass is a dysfunctional, depreciating property. Insider gossip also brings the possibility of a family getting squeezed between a lowball offer on one end and a smothering private loan on the other. The Browns' case is easy to make, a shining dream lost turned into a money pit, and the Browns may be on the edge of total destruction. To test our hypothesis and verify the sad truth of Coyote Pass, we offered up this same scenario, a multi-parcel property with fractured ownership and financial issues, to a seasoned Flagstaff real estate agent who has had more than 2 decades of land sales under his belt. To safeguard them, let's call them the Oracle. Their response was not hope. It was a bitter wake-up call. The first thing I see here is not property, they said. It's a problem. 6 years of inaction has made this land what professionals call a stigmatized asset. In real estate, that level of inactivity is fatal. Buyers and builders assume that if this land had any value, someone would have already built upon it. They instead smell desperation. That stigma by itself slices the price before any negotiations can begin. We asked the oracle point blank about selling off a single tract, like Janelle's. Air answer deflated her dream. Selling off a piece in the middle, they said, is like trying to sell the donut whole. Does it have access guaranteed by deed? Utility easements? A buyer would need to be aware that she could run power, water, and septic without having to deal with 3 other battling family members. The truth is, Cody and Robin own the land around her. They have all the bargaining power. They can give access, or they can withhold it. And if they refuse? Janelle's share is worth virtually nothing. An interior, landlocked lot bubble isn't worth $300,000. It's not worth $100. It's a lawyer's worst nightmare no serious player would even touch. The oracle's judgment was abhorrent. Janelle is more than a co-owner. She's a hostage. Her financial fate is totally at the mercy of Cody and Robin, 2 people with no inclination to play ball. And when we asked the oracle what guidance they would provide to the family, their answer chilled our bones. Ditch the dream. Ditch breaking even. Ditch profit. Your house is on fire. The goal is not to save the furniture, it is to get everyone out alive. Sell the entire property in one package, sell to the first serious buyer who has cash in hand, and run. Every time they procrastinate, the fire rages on and the damage is colossal. The best time to sell was 3 years back. The second best is now. But assuming they did want to keep land and start building, could they? That's what we asked another expert, a custom home builder in northern Arizona who has battled the unforgiving desert climate and boulder-strewn terrain for decades. Well, refer to him as the Crusher, for the way he shatters dreams on cold reality. Constructing a house is all about selecting paint colors and countertops, he explained. That's the last 5%. The first 95% kills people, especially on raw land like Coyote Pass. The costs start before you've even laid a foundation. You have to run out power lines, for $25,000 to $70,000, depending on how far out you want them. Water is non-existent, so you drill a well for $30,000 to $50,000, or pay to haul water forever. A cistern system is cheaper to install, maybe $15,000, but it comes with the cost of delivery forever. And then there is septic, another $20,000 to $40,000. And that's without roads. You require an engineered dirt road just to reach the sites, and excavation and gravel another $15,000. Trenching foundations in Flagstaff's hard rock can cost $20,000 per home. Cumulative, before you even lay 1 ounce of concrete, you're already over $150,000 in the hole. Ironically, almost the same size as the claimed secret loan Cody allegedly took out. Could the loan have been taken in order to owe money, rather than for the ill-fated attempt to start building, with discovery of how crushing those initial expenses would be? And then there's the house itself. In Flagstaff, even the most modest custom home will run at least $300 per square foot. A simple 2,000 square foot house, smaller than what Cody and Robin are used to, would cost around $700,000. Add in site costs, and you're looking at $850,000 for just one home. Both experts' testimony is damning. The market testifies that to sell is to take a loss, but to hold is to be financially suicidal. The builder testifies that building is $1 million dream. Their combined testimony validates that the family is stuck in their own makings of a perfect storm. Which brings us full circle to the final stage, the closing arguments. For 6 long years, this property drained money, cohesion, and a future from the Browns. It cost them over $820,000 to purchase it, tens of thousands in taxes, and sums never to be reckoned in interest. But the real cost is not in dollars. It cost them their dream. It cost them each other. Coyote Pass is now a monument to what they have lost. The deed itself reveals the story. A map of betrayal and quiet consolidation, leaving one family member stranded as a financial hostage. We've heard from the oracle, the real estate expert who warned that the house is already on fire and the only rational choice is to escape. We've heard from the crusher, the builder who crushed the dream with cold, unforgiving numbers, showing that building here is $1 million delusion. And finally, we've uncovered the chilling possibility of a secret, high-interest loan, a ticking time bomb threatening foreclosure and total loss. The defense pleads in passion. They speak of legacy, dreams, of promises made under Arizona skies. But an expensive dream is not a dream, it's a nightmare. A debt-fueled legacy that is built on discord is no legacy, it's a curse. The only sane judgment is to sell. Take the loss, free the hostage, shatter the impasse. The dream is dead. It's time to put it in the ground. But the defense clings to faith. For them, it was never ever about money. It's about a covenant, about vision, about the final piece of a family's soul. To sell would be to concede defeat, to declare their lives' work and belief system a failure. This land isn't dirt, it's a testament, the ground upon which a patriarch dreamed of building his castle with his bet queen. They retort that belief can move mountains, and that a true leader never surrenders. Selling all would be an act of cowardice. To persevere, even against insurmountable odds, is the courageous way. Their strategy is simple: split. Sell off one outer package, perhaps Janelle's, to raise capital. Employ the proceeds to pay off debt and fund building of one house, Cody and Robin's show house. A tactical retreat, they assert, not defeat. The dream, albeit smaller, would continue. But dreams are ruined with math. Let's examine their strategy. Suppose they find a buyer who pays $250,000 for Janelle's lot, despite the warning from the oracle. Commissioned, that falls to about $235,000. Don't forget the secret loan, though. $150,000 of that just poofs, paying off the lender and avoiding foreclosure. That leaves them with only $85,000. Well short of the $155,000 in site preparation alone. Before a single wall can be built, the blueprint is already underwater. Worse yet, Janelle loses her property and ends up with little more than a fraction of what she originally invested. What if they do nothing, as the defense suggests? Think about the monthly burn rate. Ordinary living expenses. The mortgage on Robin's $1 million mansion. Property taxes. And now, the phantom killer, interest on the hidden loan. $1,500 a month, month in and month out, interest only, not even touching the principal. On top of all else, that's a financial death spiral. Unpayoutable. A dead sure path to bankruptcy or foreclosure. The stress test is conclusive. Subdivision is not possible. Inaction is suicide. The defense strategy, no matter how emotionally appealing, collapses on fiscal analysis. There is only one verdict left. The court has weighed the arguments, the records, the expert testimony, and the insider reports. It has listened to logic and heard emotion. And now, the verdict. Coyote Pass is a beleaguered financial asset, its ownership disputed, its worth decreasing. Development is expense prohibitive. The rumors of a high-interest loan are plausible and devastating. 3 futures pending. First, liquidation, the only financially sound path, endorsed by all experts, inevitable if delayed. Second, last stand, the doomed, numerically broken plan to build one house on the minority shareholders' back. And third, pennies on the dollar. That's what this option would return, a facade of victory while actually forging triumph, only slightly smaller than its predecessor. The odds? High. This is a reflection of Cody's background of daring but ultimately doomed plots. Ruling C is darker even yet, denial. Doing nothing. Continuing to hemorrhage money every month until the concealed loan's clock runs out. And then foreclosure, public, humiliating, and complete. The land seized, auctioned off, and the dream lost in the worst way possible. This is not a course of action that requires effort. It's the path of least resistance, and the most likely one to happen if things don't change. So the formal mandate of this court is clear: the Browns will have to sell. The only question remaining is whether it happens voluntarily, under ruling A, or if they stumble through ruling B or C and are forced to let the lender do it for them. But hold on, one final theory lingers: a situation so evil, It sounds almost unbelievable. Suppose the secret loan had not been a mistake. Suppose it was a tool of war. Think about it. That loan is secured only against Cody and Robin's property. Janelle's is not included. Suppose the aim all along was to enable the loan to default. The lender forecloses on Cody and Robin's acres, auctions them off, and because of the divisive past and shattered ownership, the bids are meager. And there, waving a paddle, are Cody and Robin themselves. With money pooled, they bid on their own property at pennies on the dollar. The initial debt wiped out. And Janelle? She's got nothing left. Her property is now a worthless island, surrounded on all sides by foreclosed and resold properties. No way in. No easements. No worth. All shed put into it, gone. Nothing. It's a chilly, Machiavellian scenario. Cold-blooded. Premeditated. But in a chronicle filled with financial chaos, dishonesty, and frantic measures, are we really to conclude that it can't happen? And so the trial ends. The facts have been exposed. The judgment rendered. The vision of Coyote Pass turned bitter into a money pit, fueled by pride, denial, and, if rumor is correct, backroom politics. But now it's up to you, the jury of the TLC Sister Wives Real News. We've given you the numbers. We've revealed the theories. We've revealed the betrayals. Put aside the show for a moment. Think of this as your life. Your money. Your family. Would you sell the dream on the cheap just to curb the bleeding? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe the insider testimony? Do you believe Cody and Robin desperate victims, or desperate masterminds? And most importantly, what would you do if it was your name on that deed? If this investigation gave you a wake-up call, and you want more deep dives through the TV narrative to uncover the truth, make sure to like this video, subscribe to TLC Sister Wives Real News, and ring that notification bell. Because in this family, the truth isn't just hidden, it's buried deep.